Bill Gates has a new plan that will affect millions of Americans, and he says that we should be thankful for artificial intelligence as it's going to make our jobs that much easier. So easy that we may not need them in the future, or at least that's what many feel is the direction that we're headed on now. Listen to Bill Gates talk about how AI, or artificial intelligence, will change how we look at jobs.
You're also deeply involved in this field of artificial intelligence. You were just in Washington meeting with Senator Schumer and tech leaders about how to regulate this correctly or how to find the balance. You've also said that you think this AI revolution is as big as the personal computer or the internet itself. What can you tell us about that meeting? How do you do this in a good way? And what do you mean when you recently were writing that AI can actually help with both health, which we just discussed a little bit, and global education?
AI is going to change jobs in a pretty dramatic way. It's going to make people more productive and help out. So yes, this is a world-changing set of advances. AI didn't used to be able to read and to write, and the OpenAI ChatGPT milestone is the first time we've seen that. And so it will allow doctors to do less paperwork. It'll help teachers with homework. It'll, you name a job, lawyer, architect, it'll find information for you more quickly and hopefully get rid of the dull parts of the work.
Gates also says that the 4-day work week is a thing of the past. One that many workers can only dream of. Well, according to him, we should get used to 3-day work weeks as AI will eventually make that possible. So here's the billion-dollar question, folks. Do you think that this is going to trend toward a day where humans, that's you and me, will no longer have any days in the work week? And if so, do you feel as if this would be a good or a bad thing? Comment good or bad below to answer that question. And while you guys are at it, make sure to drop a like for the video. And since you're already here, consider subscribing to the channel and turning on all notifications. Appreciate that, guys. So getting back on track here, you would think that some jobs like making food would be safe from an AI takeover, but Bill Gates says otherwise. In fact, he thinks that machines will be able to make even food in the future and will give us even more time to enjoy in leisure. I mean, just look at this report from earlier this year.
So far, the restaurants that are using them or trying them out say that this automation really only has to do with helping relieve boring tasks from workers' plates, help make their jobs easier, let them engage with the customers more. But there's a lot of reports out there kind of guesstimating how many jobs could be replaced by these robots, by automation.
Up to 82% of restaurant positions could to some extent be replaced by robots. Automation could save U.S. fast food restaurants over $12 billion in annual wages.
This begs the question, if workers here in the country are only going to be working 3 days a week, will they then be paid for those 3 days only? Because if so, that could dramatically reduce people's income. Like, just calculate what you make per hour right now, and then just imagine only having to go to work for 3 days a week. Just how bad would that be for your budget? So instead of working, 40 hours a week, imagine, can you live off of 24 hours a week? Because I think they've been talking about more leisure since the 80s. And well, I know folks who work more than 2 jobs just to make ends meet today. And the trend for 2023 has been more of jobs lost instead of gained. And even if the numbers suggest that more people are working, I'd argue that it's people working more jobs rather than whatever the White House is suggesting. Now, to add to that, by the way, the White House is definitely convinced that we're now on the path to better days when it comes to the economy and with our own finances.
We're going to focus on delivering for the American people. That's going to be our focus. We're going to focus on how the president's going to, we believe, continue to deliver on what the American people sent him to do, right? Whether it's the economy, let's not forget when the president walked into this administration, the economy was at a tailspin, and that was because of what the last administration did. And so we had small businesses were shut down, we had schools, majority of schools were shut down, large jobs were lost, and the pandemic was not under control. Now we understand the actions and the historic actions, legislations that this president has done is going to take some time. It's going to take some time. It's not like turning on a light switch for people to certainly feel that.
Okay, the problem now is that we're almost in 2024. Just how much longer do we have to wait for us to feel what they've done? Or maybe we're already feeling it already, for all I know. I mean, this economy is now just so great that more Americans have had to actually go to food banks for their Thanksgiving food. I'm not kidding, guys. These are people that have jobs, that actually get paychecks, living paycheck to paycheck, but still, they're getting paid. But even they're tapping out and admitting that they're literally forced to seek out food assistance within this holiday season, since everything is just way too expensive, with some of them saying that it's, in a word, humiliating to ask for help during what should be a time of celebration when you live in a first world country.
Next, in this holiday season, millions of Americans are in desperate need. 778,000 workers have filed new unemployment claims, up for the second week in a row. More than 20 million now collecting benefits. This line of cars take a look at a food bank in Miami Springs, Florida. This morning, it stretched down the street for miles. Food banks across the country say they are seeing a surge in demand, and they fear they won't be able to keep up. ABC's Victor Oquendo is in Pembroke Park, Florida.
Tonight, millions of Americans lining up for food before Thanksgiving, and the crisis is only getting worse.
It's been a big help for me and my family, man.
This food bank in Bergen County, New Jersey,
Happy Thanksgiving!
has provided 670,000 meals to more than 45,000 families, and they can't keep up with demand.
We were averaging around 150 cars each Tuesday. Now it's over 500. We still turn people away because we run out of food.
The lines are getting longer in California.
It's very stressful not knowing if you're going to have enough money for your daily needs.
50 million Americans facing food insecurity in the middle of the pandemic, an increase of 43%. 1 in 4 children don't have enough to eat.
The need for food is staggering. Just take a look from our drone. The line here at this food distribution site in Miami Springs stretches for miles.
Feeding South Florida holding daily distributions since March, when they were receiving 160 truckloads of food per week. Now that number is down to just 14.
Without more funding, how can you keep this up?
Without more funding, it's impossible to keep this up. We're relying on our local farmers, we're relying on our local ranchers, on our local distributors and manufacturers to try to bring in as much food as possible, but we're trying to make do with what we got.
Now, on that note, guys, how much more did you guys have to spend this past Thanksgiving? At least one CEO says that these added costs and this expensive Thanksgiving that we had can be linked to one word: Bidenomics.
17.7% increase in prices since the month President Biden took office. Are people just getting used to then higher prices, you think?
Well, first of all, it's greater than that. Transportation went 10 times. It's back to double or triple, but it's still in there. And you still have oil as the baseline for our economy. But we're not out of the woods yet. Food prices, there's California's production of tomato. India is not exporting rice because they are the greatest exporter of rice because of droughts and things like that. Mexico, we're having problems all over the world with food issues. So that's already baked in. And it's not 17% in our business. It's more like 50. The price of cans went up 64%. Jeez. So this out of control inflation is due to all that and just terrible administration.
With all of that mixed in, it feels like we're not headed toward better times. And in fact, if you take into account the possibility, and honestly, it's happening as we speak, but the possibility that even more jobs are lost, then, well, more and more Americans will drown in financial turbulence. But again, you guys are the most important piece of this video's puzzle. Let me know how you guys feel down there in the comment section down below. And before I go, I want to thank you guys for hanging out. I want to invite you over to our Patreon community. There is a link in the description down below. It's totally free to join. We'd love to have you over there, and I'll see you guys on the next one.